Hi, it's Wednesday, it's Saturday, I'm Linda O'Reilly and I'm joined by my colleagues Damien, Donohoe and Seamus Enright to review some of the main stories in today's newspaper. Quick look at our headlines. 3 sites now in the mix for new sports campus. Almost €270,000 is allocated for repairs on private lanes across County Cavan. Airgrid to push ahead with plans for pylons despite decision in the north. And a woman is left shaken after a dog attack in the Bailieware area. In sport, can the miracle of Mullinachta prevail? Soccer star Leanne Kiernan is named the Anglo-Celt Sportsperson of the Year for 2018. And it's the Blues for Cavan and Castlebar as Mayo take the points. So we start with our lead story in today's paper. 3 sites in mix for a new sports campus in Cavan town, and that's written by Seamus Enright, who's on my left. Seamus, do you want to tell us a bit about that story?
Yeah, at the moment it's still, it's still evolving. They looked at 8 sites across the county. They looked at a number of sites across the county. They engaged with, local stakeholders, clubs, and that. And the decision was made to examine Cavan town for the site of this new sports campus. From what I'm told, it could cost as much as 20 million to deliver.
Wow.
The interesting thing is from the feasibility study that's been carried out, they've narrowed it down to 3 sites in Cavan town. They're looking at that now, but they have a deadline to meet. It's April 17th, and it's under this new major infrastructural fund that there's 100 million in this fund. Everybody's going to be looking for it. But Cavan County Council seem to be a little bit of a step ahead at this present time, because they have it was early last year they mooted the possibility of putting together a €150 million fund to develop the county over the next 2 years, and they really finalised that towards the end of last year, and in that was the guts of 4.7 million to push this plan. They're going to spend 450,000 this year and next year, and then with about 5 million or so earmarked, or 4 million. Sorry, 4 million.
We're talking about something like the Clonus Peace Link, so we're
possibly
talking about like running tracks.
Yeah, exactly, but even possibly bigger than that. It's that big a project, I believe. This is going to be a landmark development for Cavan. If you're involved in sport in Cavan, this is something to be very excited about.
Well, it's brilliant news. I've had young fellas involved with the Anna Lee running club in Cavan town, and they do brilliant work despite having very little facilities. Obviously, there are facilities in the east of the county, in Shercock, but if you're living in somewhere like Mullahorn, it's actually closer to go to Clonus in Monaghan than it is to go to Shercock for us. And we were in the position recently where we had to actually take the boys temporarily out of athletics because we just couldn't access the facilities. They were too far away from us. They were on days that were difficult. So it would be brilliant if something like this is delivered for the town. Have you been in the Clonus one, Damien?
Yeah, I've been in the Clonus one, and it's a fabulous facility.
Magnificent.
If even maybe underused. But what I like about this, that they've narrowed down the 3 Cavan town sites, and that while the population in Cavan is migrating east a bit more, I still think holding Cavan town means you're not cutting off the west. And I think that's a big positive, and it's an all county. Even though it's located in the town of Cavan, it's an all county. This is going to be a county
multi-sport facility.
Yeah.
And if you look at it right across the country, there's so many county towns across this country that are screaming out for something like this. I know myself down in Ennis, they're mad for something like that. Now, the GA went and got their Centre of Excellence out there, but the town is still bereft of something that would be significant to keep in sports in the local area.
And fair play to Cavan County Council. Credit where credit is due. We very often give out about them perhaps in other areas, but they're very much on the ball, pardon the pun, with this one. They're progressing the plans. They seem on course to meet that deadline.
They're on track.
Very good. We could go on all day. But they seem very much on course to meet that April deadline. Now, I know realistically speaking...
we have to send out a pen to somebody who comes up with the best pun for this.
Yeah, come on. Comment
on Facebook now.
Please comment on our live post. Indeed, comment on any of the stories that we're talking about. just say hello, or yes, give us your best pun for the delivery of the new sports facility. Yeah, but realistically, we're talking 2022, something like that at this stage.
2021. Well, we'll know by April where the site is, and possibly by the end of the year what projects are going to be getting funded underneath this under this major sports.
Will it be like as in will they do all at once, or will it be stage by stage? Has there been any indication like that?
No, I think it'll match the site.
Okay.
They're going to cater whatever they have to the site, but I think it's going to be, from what I understand, it's going to be a big work.
No, brilliant, and well done,
impressive.
Cavan County Council, and indeed all of the stakeholders who are liaising with the council to make this happen. And I suppose it's a nice segue to start talking about the Anglo-Celt Sport Awards at this point, because we had soccer star from Ballyborough, Leanne Kiernan, who was named the overall sports star for last year, but also runner athlete legend Katrina McKiernan picking up a Hall of Fame award on the night as well. And she, in her absolutely riveting and engaging speech, alluded to the facilities or lack thereof when she was trying to train and develop her skills, to the point where she was running the roads and running the hills and drumlins of Cavan and the golf courses. Although, to be fair to Katrina, she makes a very good point. She says, if you have the talent and the skill and you were dedicated enough, facilities don't matter. You'll do it, and you will only you will do it for yourself. And she is very right. But at the same time, Damien, when you see the depth and variety of young sporting talent that was in that room last Friday night in the Cavan Crystal Hotel, I mean, they put in so much. Their parents put in so much. Their clubs put in so much. They deserve the facilities.
Without a doubt, and the range of sport. That's what, obviously I'm very focused on Gaelic football, but what I love about the Anglo-Celt Sports Awards is it's not. It's an opportunity to highlight the wonderful sporting talents from Leanne in soccer, which would probably be the number 2 sport in Cavan, but going down to Leo Doyle in the cycling, like that's a phenomenal story. Again, in the paper there.
Last year we had weightlifters,
taekwondo, like you've so much. You've athletics, obviously the Annalee Athletics Club, and that is probably the one for me that needs the most resource, because I think the Athletics Club is growing and growing and growing, and yet they don't have. I'm right in saying they don't have a home.
No, I know the younger athletes train at the back of Breffney Park there, on the warm up or the training pitch or whatever you call it, not the 3G. And they do access the facilities in Clonus, so that's typically on Monday and Friday nights. But they don't have a home, and they absolutely deserve one. Not just Annalee, there are other athletics clubs across the county as well. But
and you see Oisin McCurry, like his success at athletics, and he's doing that all without any base in Cavan. So absolutely. you'd love to see them getting the facilities to help them thrive.
They absolutely deserve them. And a big night for ladies on Friday night, Damien. Even Mick Flynn, Cavan Ladies Football, who picked up the Greatest Achievement Award, was it? Yeah, absolutely. He even mentioned it, that the ladies were setting the standard and setting the tone for sport in County Cavan, and it certainly can't be denied when you see the field of talent on the night and the winners that emerged. Give us a couple of the highlights from the winners there, Damien.
Yeah, well, obviously Leanne Kiernan, 18, she was 17 when she scored a hat-trick in the FAI Cup final. Like,
a really good hat-trick.
Oh, as I was saying, I was saying to her after, the postage stamp penalty was just the highlight. She didn't just want to hit the back of the net, she wanted to do the most difficult penalty you can take, and had the confidence to execute it at 17, going on to represent Ireland. Like, this girl is just phenomenal. I can't speak highly enough of her. Then you had the Loretto ladies winning both All-Irelands on the 16 and on the 20s. Again, a phenomenal achievement without facilities. We're talking about facilities here.
No,
they don't have a pitch in the school. It's amazing. You had the Cavan ladies on the 14s winning the All-Ireland, beating the might of Dublin. That's a full county effort. Like, you're talking about development squads with in Cavan, okay, you might have 200 try out for the under 14 girls in Cavan. In Dublin, you could have 2,000, and yet the Cavan girls are fit to beat them. So Mick Flynn and all, Carol Kieran and all deserve huge credit for what's going on there. Look at ladies stole the show. The couple of lads that jumped in was Leo Doyle, who again winning a men's UCI ranked race at the age of 18. Again, it's amazing. My wonder was, how does cycling come out? Well, I suppose we found out that he was racing the postman at 5 years of age, but it was
it's hilarious. Yeah,
it was very, very good. Brilliant night, and great to see such a diverse range of talent in Cavan.
Well,
No, you're right.
We're very lucky. Like most people around the country would think, oh, that's a hill, whereas in Cavan,
that's an
a
old
hill's
man.
a bray, or it's,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
trough
That's
up
it.
that.
No, absolutely. But no, you're right. Very much ladies' night at the Sports Awards, and congratulations to yourself and Mickey. You did a great job of emceeing, and the Cavan Crystal, of course, for their fabulous facilities. Look forward to seeing what talent emerges in the year ahead. Few people perhaps expecting Mickey Graham to pick up the overall Sports Person of the Year award, particularly for his work with Mullinjachta, which brings us to that subject. Mullinjachta in an All-Ireland club final this weekend. Can they do it, Damien?
Yeah, club semi-final against Dr. Crokes from Kerry. Look, they're going to be up against it, and the interesting thing on it is I done a wee bit of a review on it for Paul in the paper this week. I was looking through it. Like, Dr. Crokes are your free-scoring, Kerry Mavericks. Whereas Mullinjachta they're mean, they're tight at the back, they don't let you score an awful lot. So it's going to be a contrast in styles, and I think that we're going to see, can they go to another level? Leinster traditionally aren't that strong in the All-Ireland Club Series. So, your Munsters, your Connachts, even your Ulsters over the last few years have been the stronger teams. I think that they're going to be up against it, but you cannot say that they're not going to win it, because
But the bookies have ruled them out.
completely.
Again.
14-1 or 1-14 is Dr. Crokes, and I think it's 15-2 or something like that the bookies have it. It's complete underdogs, written off in the biggest game. Look at it.
Worth the punt.
It'd be mad not to, it's worth it. It's worth it. So it's Mullinjachta, though. Can the story continue? We're all hoping. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
We all hope that Mullinjachta can pull off another upset, and it does good for Cavan. Like Mickey Graham, what we're holding on for the overall award is when he wins the All-Ireland with Cavan. That's the main thing,
Yeah, the future is blue. Well, on that note, we might as well stick with sport. It's a sports extravaganza today. Third defeat, Cavan, v Mayo at the weekend. Our hopes starting to fade. Cavan for Sam.
Maybe the general public, the hopes are fading. I'm hearing a lot of negative comments coming out. I'm not seeing it. I'm not. Look, at 3 defeats is always disappointing, but the green shoots are there for me still. I've seen.
These are the most difficult teams, though, surely.
We've played the top 3 teams in the country.
Yeah.
Like Dublin.
To be fair.
Dublin currently are at the bottom end of the table with us. So you can't put them in the top 3 teams in the country. Kerry, Galway and Mayo are the 3 best teams on current form in the country.
And you're saying that the thing that you can see in this team is you can see there's a structure. They're playing to a structure.
That's it. And while that structure in the second half of games is maybe getting loosened up a wee bit and lads are getting tired, that'll come as the year goes on. But you can see a definite plan, and that for me shows organisation beyond the level that we've seen in the last couple of years. I also see set pieces, like the Raymond Galligan's kickouts against Kerry wobbled a wee bit, but against Mayo were sublime. He put 2 over the midfield for lads running onto. That's a set piece straight from the training field, which shows again good planning, good organisation. For me, all the signs are there that we're moving in the right direction. We're coming up against the best teams in the country. Cavan didn't expect to stay in this division. Nobody expected them to stay in this division. So we're competing with the best at the minute. We're learning how to play against the best. I'm not as negative as everybody else personally.
But that's only got to stand to Cavan, going forward.
Yeah.
And people have to give the new manager surely a chance to settle
And
in.
they haven't been demolished in any match.
No. We've been in the melting pot. Like, again, Saturday you could take that goal and say the referee was wrong in his call. Bring that back then, with 5 minutes to go in the game, you would have been within a point of Mayo, and God knows what could happen at that point. So, we're not being demolished, we're holding our own, we're competing well, and like you said, Linda, give him a chance to get his feet, to get to know the players, and for the players to get to know what they are expected to do under the current management. I'm still positive. I think we're going in the right direction, and then Monaghan were bet on Sunday, so look, we can all be positive in Cavan.
Big shout out to all our Monaghan viewers there. Might as well stick with sport while we're here, Damien. Anything else you want to mention before we move back to news?
Yeah, St Mogues again on football. They're in the Ulster final, so great to see the West Cavan school before they join with Belturbet or whatever way it happens that they got to an Ulster final. So hopefully they do well in it.
That's a club. That's a school that have been doing very well over the years in football.
Yeah, and probably punching above their weight with minimum resources again. So the ladies unfortunately suffered a defeat to Armagh, a very heavy defeat there. So they'll need an improvement in round 3 coming up. And then congratulations to Adam Crosby and to Conor Owens. They picked up an All-Ireland Colleges handball medal there at the weekend, doubles medal. So great to see that. It's a lot jam-packed sport.
Plenty in the sports section, and of course there's loads of photographs, reaction, interviews from sports awards in the Crystal on Friday night. So well worth picking up for that. Quickly back to news. Seamus, another story you covered this week, and one that I feel is very important, is the allocation of €270,000 for repairs on private lanes across County Cavan. On the face of it might seem like good news, but perhaps only a drop in the ocean in terms of what needs to be done.
There's about 3,000 kilometres of road across County Cavan, and probably the guts of there's a fraction of that are all lanes. We call them private lanes, but on these lanes they might end in a field, they might end in a cul-de-sac or whatever. There are a dozen families living on these roads. You know, there are in rural areas on these lanes. There are, you know, these are enterprises. A lot of these people are farmers. They're enterprises. They're making money. I know cases where the milk truck is refusing to go up to them. I mean, because the road is so bad and they can't get up there.
I pay my road tax.
You do?
I live on such a lane. I'm lucky our lane is in fairly good condition at the moment.
There's 225 lanes in this county currently on the waiting list.
Wow.
They applied for 1.8 million. They got 270,000.
That's €1,200 per lane.
No, but they applied for that larger sum to do work on 17 lanes.
17.
So 17 out of 225.
Oh,
but they didn't even get.
And the average cost of a lane is 50 to 70,000. With the highest one is probably 212, I think. My figures, if I remember them correctly.
Fianna Fáil's John Paul Feely probably surmises it best when he said at the council meeting on Monday, if we're only processing applications now from 2008, then there's a long way to go, and we're going to need a lot more money to deal with the backlog.
Because it started LIS in 2008 and they started taking applications then. It was suspended for a while in 2012, 2013. Brought back again, it was put into discretionary funds. Councils could do it, or they could put money into it, or they didn't have to. Cavan County Council chose not to for a couple of years, and now in the last 2 years, so much pressure on governments, especially coming to election time, that they had to put money into it.
It's an election year.
It's an election year, but this is a very, very small amount, especially when you take into context Donegal last year. They announced the last time there was funding announced in December. They gave them until the guts of 3 weeks. They'd use up the money by the end of December. Donegal got 12 million odd, and they absolutely hammered it out there. Cavan stuck to the rules and tried to get as much money as they could to do what they could before the end of the year, and
got no advantage for it.
They got no advantage for sticking to the rules.
Yeah.
Was there at one point that Cavan were taking advantage of that? I think I remember Brian Johnson.
The different scheme, I think,
End
potentially.
of the year.
But the problem with this is, it's a bit like the mortgage ticking time bomb and home repossessions. In a couple of years, as more and more the quality of more and more laneways deteriorate, who aren't even on the waiting list yet. When are they going to get to those? And the last thing we want to see is Cavan going back to its
a number of things has to happen to get a lane fix. The local people on that lane need to be in a position to put money forward to contribute to getting the lane fixed also. So the council may have this lane on since 2008, but turn up in 2019 and realise that these people don't have the money to do it anymore. In some cases, people have actually gone out and got their lane fixed themselves because the situation was so dire.
Oh God!
So it is a mess.
Yeah. And it's a real problem. I mean, we're a rural county. As you said, there's a huge network of rural roads and private lanes, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about this, particularly in an election year as well. And indeed, if you're on one of these lanes, please let us know where are you. Send us a picture of the potholes. We'd love to get out and talk to you.
Another pen for the biggest pothole?
Yeah, pen for the biggest pothole. If you can swim in it, you might even get 2 pens. Look, we so many stories. We don't want to keep you all day, but I do want to mention another story that you wrote this week, Seamus. We don't let Seamus go home. We just tie him to the desk.
I have a puppy now. I go home. I need to get home.
Woman in Baileyborough attacked by 2 dogs at the weekend.
Really lovely woman. I mean, this was a really... the story came out that this lady had been like, sorry, her name is Marie Flanagan, and it happened on a Sunday around 11:30. Quiet street outside Bark Street, which is up in Baileyborough, and 2 dogs attacked her. She either fell or was pulled to the ground. She can't remember quite sure, but somebody ran to her aid, and it brings into question the whole. Should dogs be out on without a leash? It also follows on from recent reports that we had about sheep kills in the county, where dogs were apparently roaming in packs in the Crostoni area. I mean, again, if you want to become really menial about it, but not at the same time, talk about dog fouling. Is there correct dog control in this? You know, there's a big issue with dog control in this country.
Well, look, the law is there. The law is very clear. If you have to have a license. Number one, you have to have control of your dog at all times. Be that if you're out walking and they're on a lead, or in terms of if you live in a rural area, that they're not roaming the countryside, that they are secure in your property. I mean, there's no excuse in this day and age, Damien. There's technology available. The collars that keep them on the boundary of the property. Yeah. I mean, this could have been so much more serious. This lady was lucky, she had an umbrella, somebody came and helped her quite quickly, but she could have been scarred for life.
Yeah. Well, it can be. I know as a kid I was attacked by an Alsatian, and I ended up having to get stitches in my leg from it, but it scarred me for a good few years on dogs now, you know, so it's definitely important that there's control. And look, the way dogs have been treated nowadays, in fairness, they're like kids. You know, so a lead or you know, some sort of a homing device or something to keep them in control is very, very much a must, I'd have to say. Like, it's very, very difficult, I'm sure, especially if you have a fear of dogs. I always find the dog will sense that. The dogs don't know the difference between fear and aggression, and therefore they go and attack it. So it's always the people who see a dog and go, oh God, there's a dog, and it'll go and attack them. Absolutely. So it's something that you know, an owner should be aware of. Just because your dog is well mannered doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to always be well mannered. They don't know what's in front of them.
But you can't blame the dogs. That's just nature, as you described it. I mean, people will say my dog wouldn't hurt a fly, and we've all heard stories of dogs snapping at children, or when the pack mentality sets in, when they're, you know, in a pack of dogs roaming the countryside and they attack animals. And it's like that, if they smell fear or blood, they can become almost frenzied. So, I mean, you can't blame the dogs. This is down to the dog owners. They need to be responsible. The law is very clear. It's just a matter of enforcing that. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe that this story, it's stated that somebody pulled up in a car a time later and basically got the dogs and...
Away the bent?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know everybody loves dogs and everybody loves their neighbours too, but, you know, with this kind of thing you need to, I suppose, name and shame or report. That could have been a child or an elderly person.
And that's the thing. That's what Marie said. She would hate for it to have been a child. She'd hate for it to happen to anybody else.
Okay, so plenty there between news and sport. There's plenty more in our entertainment section. All sorts of stuff coming up over the weekend with our What's On. Some brilliant interviews. You've had a great interview there, Seamus, with Leanne Coyle, the founder of Smile For Me.
Smile For You, yeah. That's a good one.
So worth looking up. If you're watching us on social media, Smile For Me, look it up. Great campaign promoting positive use of social media and positive mental health. So loads to read. Well worth your money. Pick up the paper on your way home.
Speaking of social media, lots of competitions on the Celt Facebook page. Very important you get on and click like and share on the Facebook for the Anglo Celt.
Great prizes as well, some
Brilliant.
terrific prizes. With Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow, love is in the air and all of that. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Pick up your local newspaper, support us. We'll talk to you next week. We good? What do you use mode when you're strolling across to talk to your colleagues?